Climate change is something that's going to affect us in so many ways, and particularly in the low country, one of the issues we're concerned about is rising sea levels. Uh, what's happening offshore is not immediately noticeable, but we already experience it on a routine basis through the flooding that we see in our communities. What's also happening is the effect upon wildlife off of our shores. So take sea turtles, for example. This is a critical nesting habitat, and we're finding the beaches beginning to erode. Turtles are having a harder time finding places to be turtles and to lay their eggs and to perpetuate their populations. Human beings are at risk through the threat of displacement through flooding and through storm surge. So we're all in this together. It's one issue that affects everyone. And we can no longer afford to think about this as an issue that's wildlife conservation or a people and property issue. It's everyone coming together to contend with something that has serious and profound effect on our future. This is a really tough and complex issue, and if there's one thing that the aquarium's done well over the years, it's to interpret difficult science and to make it accessible to everyone. We do that with school groups that come to the aquarium, we do it with adult lecture programs, and we feel a particular obligation with this subject with so much at stake to really engage the public and to make sure that everyone has access to the information that will protect not only their own lives, but everything that they love about the Low Country. It's going to affect diverse audiences in different ways. Some people receive their information from social media, some people receive their information from churches. So our role is to go out into the communities and to make sure that people are informed about this issue, that they have the tools that they need to really plan for their own safety and those around them. This week we announced the Resilience Initiative for Coastal Education. Its acronym is RICE, and that's really an homage to the West African slaves who came across about 200 years ago with a tremendous reverence and respect for a delicate balance between land and sea, and an ingenuity that resulted in an unprecedented rice culture. And what we want to do is take that same ingenuity and that same respect for land and sea and apply it to this most significant and profound environmental issue of our time. I think we have to talk to everyday people and just acknowledge and respect what's happening in their lives. Everyone's experiencing the effects from rising seas and the variation in our climate, and whatever attributable cause you put to it, the end product is something that we all live with. And so I think as we begin to address the real concerns and the everyday concerns of people, it will build consensus, it will put pressure on all of us to engage in this common united front. Well, with the projections of sea level rise happening perhaps as much as 6 feet in our harbor, we have to change our way of thinking, and we have to learn to live with water. So we have to look at solutions that take advantage of what we've already learned about nature. For instance, our salt marshes that serve as a natural barrier. 1 acre of salt marsh can contain 1 million gallons of water and reduce wave velocity by as much as 60%. So we are naturally protected, if you will, compared to some other places in the country from catastrophic storm surge. However, our salt marsh is at risk, so we have to make sure that we protect them, that we create buffer zones for them to migrate as the seas begin to invade. And the world's going to look remarkably different in 100 years, so will our shoreline. But if we're smart about it, we'll take advantage of what nature is bringing to us rather than trying to reject it. Lives and livelihoods are at stake. So when you think about the fishing industry, for example, if we lose this barrier protection of our salt marshes, the salt marshes themselves are nurseries for all manner of species that sustain the fishing community and sustain human health and consumption. So the short answer is we're all in this together. The solutions for humans and industry and commerce are also the same solutions that will protect wildlife and wild places. So we have to think expansively. We're on a listening tour right now to understand the needs of our audiences, and people learn in different ways, they receive information in different ways. So for some audiences, we're going to be reaching out through where they live and through their community centers and through their churches and public gatherings. For others, we're going to use social media and technology to engage them. Right now, we're creating a suite of citizen science apps. These are downloadable products that will allow everyone to become a scientist and join in the effort with us to measure king tides and to monitor water quality and assess the health of wildlife populations. And we think through this level of direct engagement, people will understand what's at stake and also feel like they can be part of the solution.